I'm tired of all these excessive clickbait trade articles. That's why today we're bringing you 15 of the most wild Jalen Green, Devin Booker, and Dillon Brooks trades you could imagine. No, we're not. Psychos and sickos unite for the Villains Off Limits edition of the PHNX Suns show. Of course, brought to you by our friends over at Bet365. Download the Bet365 app. Use code PHNX365. Deposit 10. Place a bet for 5. Get $200 in bonus bets. Thank you all for joining us. I'm Eric. That's Gil, Espo, Steven, the Freckled Mamba behind the Mac, making all of the magic happen, but none of the magic happens without all of you filing here in chat on a Tuesday. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Become a member today. Become a diehard today. For the first time all season, we are dusting off the old trade machine. We got a lot of use out of it in the offseason. We've put it away, but now we are less than a month away from the February trade deadline. We'll get into that. We'll talk a little bit about the back-to-back the Suns went through. We'll talk about Dillon Brooks being off limits, according to the man himself, Matt Ishby, and we'll take a brief look around the Western Conference. But how are we feeling after splitting a back-to-back against Oklahoma City and Houston?
Can I ask one question about the thumbnail? I swear it looks like we're trying to trade Dillon Brooks for Thanos.
Would Matt Ishby trade Dillon Brooks for Thanos is the real question.
I think that would be about where the conversation would have to start.
Thanos not really a team guy though.
Yeah, but
he does set a culture just like in the wrong way.
Can carry a lot of weight. You know,
that's true.
Just like that can get you a title.
How are you guys doing, Steven, Gil?
Doing great. How about y'all? How y'all doing?
I'm good. It's funny when you said for the first time this season we're doing the trade machine. I was thinking the first time this season we're all here together because it's been forever since it's been all four of us here at the same time.
In this studio.
That feels good. Yeah.
I think I'm all right. If, like I said last night, if you had told me you're gonna get 1 or 2 out of that, I would have said, hey, that's pretty good.
Regardless of which one it was.
Yeah.
In the fight that you got in the second end of the back-to-back, again, yesterday felt very winnable. But just a fight that, again, kind of is aligned with what this team has been all season and what they've done all season. No excuses because they had anyone they could pick from. They didn't go with that, and they had a chance to win at the end of the game.
Yeah, I think if you flipped when these games happened, if Houston was on Sunday, OKC was on Monday, same results, same everything, people would be a lot happier because like ending on the high note on the back-to-back is a lot better than getting gamed from 3 by your former player. Yeah. But you still had a ton of positives to take away because it did take a game-winning shot from Kevin Durant to put you away on the second night of a back-to-back when one of the weirdest games that we've all admitted that we've watched. But I still can't get that OKC game out of my head. And boy, am I lucky as a Suns fan that our guy, Steven, put together a film breakdown. We'll talk a little bit about it later in the show, but about that game and how they called out Shea, the thumbnails incredible, but I just feel good about the fact that we are showing that we could compete against anybody in the West, including a team that I know they've been struggling as of late, but still already has 30 wins on the season.
Yeah, Ayrton, is that tweet, the screenshot ready to go? So I'll save that one for a little bit later, but they're a team that pretty much plays as well as anybody in the league right now in terms of amount of wins that they've been able to compile on the volume in the condensed schedule that isn't even at the halfway point yet. They fared as well as anybody. And that's not by like happenstance. They didn't just luck their way into it. In fact, they've had the opposite end of luck considering the injury adversity and the schedule adversity that they've had to work up against. So this team is tough as nails. I think that's probably the one thing that people will give them credit for, if not anything else this season so far. And also about them showing them that they're not just tough, but they can also play with and against and win against anybody in the league.
Yeah, I think one of the things that got overlooked too because of Book's buzzer beater was some of what Dillon Brooks did and the big shots that he hit in that game as well. Put a lot into that, and I think that got kind of lost in the shuffle with that game in particular.
Yes, 14-point fourth quarter was big, and also the fact that you exploited some of the weaknesses OKC had. They weren't at full strength, neither has Phoenix been basically all season. But the fact that, hey, we see this team down 2 bigs, we're going to dominate the glass. So I think seeing where a team was a little more susceptible to breakdowns and taking advantage of it, because it's very easy to see on paper, hey, we can take advantage of this and not do it. But the Suns saw a blueprint that's been laid by other teams who have beaten the Thunder as of late, and then followed it to a T, and they were able to come out victorious.
Yeah, I think the most underrated play of it all, including Brooks, was the stomp free throw violation. That wasn't really a free throw violation. They got Shea to miss that free throw. I mean, Dillon Brooks, if anybody's starting to change the narrative around them, not from a holistic team perspective, it is Dillon Brooks who's starting to get more national love. We'll play some clips here today, but I think the perfect place to start is what Matt Ishbia said when, of course, there are these rumors that are flying out there. Oh, the Lakers are targeting Dillon Brooks. They want Dillon Brooks. And the owner of the Phoenix Suns goes on social media and basically tweets, "Shut up. It's not happening. Dillon's not going anywhere." We've seen Dillon Brooks get cast aside from multiple franchises now. And one of the things we love about what this team has done is it's installed confidence in a lot of guys, in a Jordan Goodwin, in a Jamari Bouye, in a Colin Gillespie. But I don't think anybody has proven it worth it more than the improvement you've seen from Dillon Brooks. I love that he's untouchable, and I love that the owner's going out there and saying, it doesn't matter what you offer, he is a Phoenix Sun.
I mean, a lot of people wanted to kind of cringe, over the summer when they heard Matt Ishbia say that he wanted to be more involved, that he needed to kind of set the tone. And instead, it's turned into something that I think has been a real asset, because, the best way to stop all this crap and all that talk is for him to go out there exactly like that and say, it's not going to happen. We're not doing this. So just stop the insanity on Twitter, because, somebody, in media can say that and people will be like, yeah, whatever, we don't know. But when the guy that's going to have the final say comes out and says it so definitively, and puts his name on it like that without even going through a middleman, that is something I think that has a power to it as well. And it goes along with the no BS rule that this team's kind of made part of their culture.
Yeah, I was going to say culture, exactly what it is. It's from actual literal top to bottom, as far as just like the owner being the one coming behind it, but also recognizing and seeing. We all see it. The rest of the league is seeing it. The basketball world is seeing what Dillon Brooks has meant for this locker room, for this team, for the development of his teammates, the accountability throughout that locker room. So obviously the person who is in charge of the whole operation is going to see it as well. And the fact that he is saying, hey, look, I'm not oblivious to what's happening in this. No way you're coming in and taking away what has made this operation work the way that it's working so far this year. Yeah, that's more than pouring cold water on it. That's just like extinguishing it, putting it away and saying, don't ever bring this up again because we're not doing it.
Could you imagine when they made that trade at the beginning of the year that we'd be sitting here and that would be the case, though? Because everyone's like, oh, this may be a short stint for Dillon Brooks. He's probably the guy you turn around and try to flip. And now you've got the owner declaratively saying, this man is going nowhere.
Yeah, no, I mean, it would have been hard to see that in the summer for sure, because there was a lot of noise, and it was literally just noise. I have the urge to dive more into it, but I will leave it alone for the sake of time. But yeah, to Gil's point, it really is a culture. It's an example of the new culture that they have, that the owner is willing to come out from his busy schedule, running multiple businesses, and refute some rumor that's kind of swarming around one of his now kind of franchise players in multiple respects because of the value that he's shown to have, which we'll get to shortly.
Well, and look, we like to imagine that players, they don't care about trade rumors. They don't care about all that stuff getting out there. But that's not true. Even if you're the toughest mental competitor, these guys are going online now, right? And if you see you're going to get traded, team is shopping you. I mean, like, we've seen what happened with Trae Young and the Hawks, where it's been this thing that's been building up for now years, but especially the last couple of weeks. And that team just, they should be better when Trae Young plays, and they're not. Dillon's the type of guy that he needs to be all bought in for him to really be able to, affect your culture, and everybody needs to be bought into him. Also, the hit to everybody else in the locker room, too. We'll play some clips here coming up shortly from guys that have either played with Dillon Brooks or guys that have been following Dillon Brooks' career, and all of them are just like, he is the best guy, he is the best teammate, and he brings the best out of us. It'd be such a sucker punch to trade that guy for anybody right now.
Well, to your point, guys seeing it, I mean, just look at the gentleman that hit the game winner last night and his post-game comment. Like, they know what's going on. They see it. They see all the chatter. I think it's got to feel nice if you're Dillon Brooks to know that the owner has your back like that.
Yeah, for sure. I think you said that the guys are human, right? So you're thinking about your plan on the court. I'm sure plenty of people, had this not been the conversation, are saying, oh man, how fortunate are the Suns that he's playing up his trade value, they can get something else. But that's not the case. And I think it's so much more than that. I think that allows him, same way we talked about Jordan not instilling confidence in the players and then rewarding that confidence with that. When the owner of the franchise instills confidence in you and lets you know that you are a part of the vision that he has for this organization, that makes you so much more confident about being there, and you get out what you put in, and guys kind of pour into one another. So I think we're just seeing that ecosystem of support and confidence being instilled among everybody across the board, from ownership, front office, coaching staff, and the players in the locker room.
I think there's one other thing here too, is this was the Lakers fans kind of running wild with this, them using their NBA privilege.
Right? Who would have guessed that? Man.
And I think that's part of why Ishbia came out and was like, knock this off right now, because Suns fans don't want to deal with your Lakers nonsense. You already get your tax, you don't get your rumors too.
I mean, cynically speaking too, there's no better way to drive up a guy's trade value than to say you're not going to trade him, but they're not going to trade him, and there are a lot of reasons. Now, we will get to some mock trades and who the Suns could or should possibly trade and target coming up at the deadline. But before that, just to put a bow on this Dillon Brooks thing, there are a couple of clips here. Obviously they played the Thunder a couple of days ago. This is what Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had to say about Dillon Brooks, who he was teammates with in Team Canada.
Yeah, Dillon's one of the best teammates I've had. He's just a really good guy, like super polite, like easy to talk to, personable, like no ego. Like as crazy as he is on the court, he's the complete opposite, to me at least. But yeah, I appreciate him more because he can flip that switch and really do whatever it takes to win games. And everywhere he's gone in this NBA, they've seemed to catch a stride, and he's turned around a franchise. So it's no coincidence. He's a good player. He affects winning. And great person as well.
I think one of the highest compliments you can get from anybody else is that you impact winning. Because, at the end of the day, we can talk about archetypes and how people go about doing it and if it's a fit for them or not. All it comes down to is if you're impacting winning. And if you're doing that, it's going to have a reverb that goes past just your doing as far as on your own accord. Are you impacting the guys around you? Are you helping your coach be better? Like, all of these things matter, and I think he wears those not just tangibly but with the intangibles as much as anybody that's in that realm of player that he is. Not a top 20, maybe not even a top 35 to 40 guy, depending on who you're asking. But the impact that he has that goes past the skill is what allows for him to punch up in the weight class in the ways that he has with the Suns.
Well, and I think we heard that on the old, young, middle-aged man in the 3, whatever it is
that
now.
What you're calling this show now?
This show, maybe. But it was Colin Gillespie, it was Mark Williams, Jordan Goodwin, and Ryan Dunn. And Tommy Alter, who's the host there, he asked a great question. He said, when did you know that this team was so competitive? And this is what they had to say.
When did you realize how competitive everybody was? Like, how early was
Shit, training camp?
Yeah.
Summer?
Like, what happened? Like, what was the spark?
Dylan got 2 texts in a pickup game.
Yeah, training camp.
Yeah, that was crazy.
Yeah, we had some refs from local refs come in, and he was getting on them crazy.
Could you imagine being like a high school ref or one of these local refs that get asked to come in, and Dillon Brooks is just giving you the business, and you have to give him 2 technicals in essentially a mock game between these guys? I love that is what set the tone for this season from word one was, I don't care when we're playing, I'm going to get on you, I'm going to get on the refs, this is the way we're going to play.
Yeah, and this is something that Dillon Brooks has been doing. I think that's the most important thing, like you mentioned, you said impacts winning. I can't believe I'm about to say this sentence. I thought Austin Rivers put it really well on a podcast appearance, just mentioning that Dillon Brooks has gone from maybe the most hated player in the league to the most underrated.
This guy's been traded, even outcasted by a team. We're not bringing you back. He goes from being this guy that people think is funny and entertaining to be a guy that people hate on. He sucks. Dillon Brooks, go to China, go to Shanghai, the Dillon Brooks in China memes, all this stuff. All they do is talk about him being a distraction, can't play, bum, blah, 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 blah. What does he do? He doesn't change for shit. He stays the same way. Because what people have to eventually respect, as much as they didn't like him, whatever side you're on, people respect consistency. He don't shy away from nobody. He goes at LeBron, he'll go at this. He goes at all the best guys. He don't shy away from nobody. He plays damn near every game. He competes, and he plays his heart out. If you're a fan paying $200 for some damn tickets and you lose, you can lose as a Suns fan, knowing that when you watch, even though they're not a finals contending team this year, when you watch guys like Gillespie or you watch a Dillon Brooks go out there and they're playing their ass off as hard as they can, you can leave the arena like, those guys tried their tails to go get a win for us tonight. I can't even be mad at that. Not to mention, most importantly, above all this, he's balling. His play has just gotten better and better. Where now he's a 20-plus point per game scorer, and he's helping closing out games, hitting big shots, and doing it on both ends while guarding the best player of the other team. He's a two-way player with Devin Booker. And it's worked out. Their culture, it's worked. So at some point, that he is a culture starter. He was with Memphis. He left. Their culture sucked. He went to Houston. It was great. And he's in Phoenix, and now he's great. So now it's so funny, the irony of the Lakers looking into trading for him, if that's true, is he's only gotten into it with LeBron and all that shit, but yet they want him. Oh, now they want him.
I am so glad that Austin Rivers is continuing the Rivers family tradition of being better on the mic than in the NBA.
See,
That's crazy.
Sure. I'm not going to touch that one, but I will say the funny thing about that with what Austin Rivers said and the point he made about everywhere that Dillon Brooks has been. I'm old enough to remember when a different NBA player who likes a podcast said that, hey, the dynasty ends after you. Draymond Green's the one that said that, by the way. But now we think he left the place where he said the dynasty begins after you, and it's gotten worse. And now he's come here and things have been just way better than we could have imagined for him, and it's starting to realize. And on top of that, I think that Dillon Brooks has continued to get better, not just with his performance, but the ways in which he impacts culture. And that speaks to him growing as a veteran in the NBA, being in the league for as long as he has been, to be a second-round pick, to grow into the player that he is. I think that's the thing that doesn't get talked about either. This is a guy who was drafted like middle of the second round, averaging 20-plus points per game, entering all-star conversations and being one of the better two-way players in the league. And also, hey, he also is just a plus for your locker room culture. So I think that just speaks to the career, the lane he's carved for himself over the last 4 or 5 years in his career. And it's very admirable when you think about the full story of who he is in his career arc.
I mean, he's put in the work. This entire Suns team has put in the work, and that's why they are in the position that they are in. 6 games above 500, just split against 2 of the better teams in the league, not just in the Western Conference. But as we get closer to February, we get closer to Jalen Green coming back, a lot of fans are saying, okay, we don't have our pick, so obviously going down ain't an option. What can this team do to get better? Who can they move at the trade deadline if it's not Dillon Brooks? And who can they actually get a value back? We dusted off the trade machine for the first Trade Machine Tuesday of the season, and we'll get into some of them on the other side of our first break. There are a lot of things that I love about our friends over at Bet365. Not just that they are the presenting sponsor of this show, but that they always up their game. It was already my favorite app interface to use for sports betting, but they just continue to get better and better and better. Now they're telling you the last 5 games when you bet prop games, and you know what? That's helped me a little bit recently. I'm shooting about 50% from the field. It wasn't helping me too much at the beginning of the season, but I always love our friends over at Bet365. And right now, if you want to download the app, you can sign up, use code PHNX365, and new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if you bet $5 win or lose. That's right, use code PHNX365, deposit 10, place a bet for 5, get $200 in bonus bets. If your bet wins or loses, bonus bets can be used on spread, totals, player props, futures, and more. Whatever the moment, it is never ordinary at Bet365. You must be 21 plus and physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP, text NEXT STEP to 5342, or visit promgambling.az.gov.
Got to tell you about Window Depot. The holidays are over, and you know what? I was talking with my wife, and we got to redo a bathroom.
Oh.
Right? And you go, Window Depot. Well, why would you go to a Window Depot to redo a bathroom? Because they have everything that you could want to redo a kitchen, a bathroom, your windows in your house, whatever you need. They've got it, and they've got the biggest selection at the best prices as well. And I'm super excited to get this bathroom taken care of finally. It was my daughter's. I think it's going to become mine now. I think my wife and daughter have said, you know what? we don't want you in the same bathroom.
Wow.
Oh, you're getting your own. And Window Depot is going to help me make that happen because they've been serving Arizona since 2002. And they are basically everybody's favorite place to go find, whether it's cabinets, whether it's whatever you need. They've got designers too that'll help you design the bathroom of your dreams for free, or the kitchen for that reason too. So stop by one of Window Depot's Arizona locations to see for yourself why they are more than just a window store.
Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for a rare 3 p.m. show here in the middle of the season. We had a big opportunity with this 3 p.m. show to talk Dillon Brooks, talk trades, and so much more. And you have a big opportunity to become a PHNX diehard. Today, you can go to gophnx.com/join. You get great exclusive content, a free t-shirt of your choice from the locker. That's every year that you renew. Entrance to the Discord lounge, premium written content, and discounts on all events, 20% off merch, 20% off events. So go to gophnx.com, prove your fanhood by becoming a PHNX diehard. Today, diehards, casuals, everybody loves a nice little trade machine season here. And it's not just the Suns who are looking to make some improvements and make some swaps. Realistically, though, on a holistic perspective, we can all agree the Suns should not make a big splash this trade deadline, right?
Yeah, it's not a big splash here, not in my opinion.
Like, even if they didn't go out and outright deny Dillon Brooks. No trade Dillon Brooks, no Jalen Green, no Devin Booker.
They should. They should, and that big move is Jalen Green. I mean, let's
back.
Be honest. Him coming back is going to be that big move, because if you could add a 23-year-old with the ability to score like that, who was the top scorer on a top team in the West last year, yeah, that's the kind of move you would want to make, and you get to do it without giving up anything right now.
Yeah, and you might be looking at the rookies too, Steven. Maybe a Rasheer Fleming, maybe a Kamal Malawatches. There are maybe trade deadline acquisitions that don't need to be traded for this team.
Yeah, no, that's true. That's true, and that's why they're in a good space. They're overachieving by the standards of many people and their projections and predictions that they gave prior to the season. So they're essentially playing with quote unquote found money because they're so ahead of schedule, and they get the gift of receiving a player that's already under contract. Well, I haven't only seen them play for 28, 27 minutes so far this season. So that's going to hit for it, but they do need to add some pieces on the margins, meaning that, no, they don't need to do anything significant.
Yeah, and just as a disclaimer before all of this, there are only a couple of names that kind of fit into the idea of who the Phoenix Suns could and should trade. That does not mean we're trying to single these players out. It doesn't mean that we hate these players personally. There are one name and some other names that are pretty consistent.
Not saying anything they're not already well aware of. You sign
Correct.
a deal with a team, you know that it's a friendly deal that often gets moved, regardless of if you're a culprit or if it's just because your contract is so friendly. It's the nature of the business. They understand this well before we get to having these conversations.
On that note, let's go ahead and start with our first trade today. We'll work our way up, and we'll start with something basic. Give me a 1-for-1 swap with the New York Knicks, who you play this week. Nick Richards on his way to the Big Apple in exchange for the Big Peach, Gershon Yabusele.
That's not his nickname.
It's not?
Well, I'm not calling him that.
I'm not using that emoji anywhere. Nope.
Steven, Gershon Yabusele, a little bit of a disappointment for Knicks fans this year.
That's not his problem.
But I do think there are some legitimate concerns with him. Would you say he fits into not just the culture here, but a positional need as a big forward?
I mean, yes, he does. And I think the role that he would play fit-wise with this team is different than what it is with the New York Knicks right now. Obviously, for him, you go where the money is. You get that stamped, and he spoke glowingly about that just a couple of days ago. I feel like that says a lot about where the league is in terms of how players can take care of their families past the compensation that they're receiving numerically. But yes, New York, good job getting him as a free agent. It hasn't panned out for him so far. Again, like we just talked about with some players on the Suns, you sign a contract knowing that it can be flipped because it's friendly. I think the fit with the Suns would be good in terms of his position, but also the skill sets that he brings.
When you look at it, you think the Knicks would have interest in Nick Richards? Is there, because as we always talk about, it takes two in this kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. I'm really not sure if they would be interested in Nick. I think contractually, if you want to cost cut in some capacity, the money there makes sense to do that, especially with Nick being an expiring deal. But I don't know. It's kind of hard to gauge where the Knicks are right now just because they've had a lot of things going on and they still are at the top of the Eastern Conference amidst all of it. So,
You're not for nothing. I feel like it kind of feels similar to when they made a move for Precious Achua a couple years ago. I know he was kind of like a guy that made the money work, but it's like, you know what? Yabu's not in our rotation. We might as well see what a different big man, who, by the way, I said homecoming a little bit. He moved to New York after he was raised in Jamaica and went to high school there for a few years. So he's got some familiarity with the area. Maybe they say, let's try something different. He can spell us a little bit. You know, they have their front court rotation with Cat and Mitchell Robinson, but have another guy who they could trust to maybe play 8 to 10 minutes. I could see them talking themselves into it.
Do we agree with Kara? He's too thick.
Nick
That's what-
Richards?
No. She's talking
Yabu?
about Yabu.
I mean,
quite the critique.
I will say this. He fits a role and a build that the Suns don't have right now.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have somebody who could be a bruising four. And Gershon, at his peak right now, could be a bruising four. Now, obviously, last year with Philly, he had a really great year, but Philly had a really bad year. And so you're like, okay, are you a bad team merchant? But I do think that he'll be asked to do something a little bit different. And with New York on this side of thing, not to belabor too much on this trade because we have a ton of other ones, you can't rely on Mitchell Robinson's health. Ariel Hukporti is good, but he's raw. And again, are you going to rely on him in a playoff series? I don't know how much you can rely on Nick Richards, but he's an expiring contract. He makes less per year than Gershon. You save about $2 million if you're the Knicks, and Gershon is on a 2-year contract. So I could see both sides being interested in it for different reasons, but there are other names that we'll talk about here that I'm pretty intrigued by, maybe more so than Gershon. And honestly, Espo, this next trade, I was pretty interested when you sent it through.
Well, first off, Kara, we're not touching that. Second off, I thought Marvin Bagley for Nick Richards. The Wizards are going to wizard, right? So, but Marvin Bagley is quite intriguing to me. Young, still, kind of having some of that potential, but playing pretty well, could fit a lot of those needs that we talked about, has a salary that would work. And, I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility that the Wizards would go, you know what? Why not? We'll figure out if Nick can work here.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea. Marvin Bagley is one of the guys who became available December 15th, and I mentioned him as somebody who is a name to keep an eye on. Aside from the hometown ties and stuff like that, he's a guy who's just a talented player, has been a hard worker, even though it hasn't panned out for what you'd expect for a player who was taken where he was taken in that draft. I still think he's a guy who adds a lot of value with his size, with his effort, with his abilities. I think that would give this team some versatility on both ends of the floor.
You think they have to include a pick in that, Steven, to get Bagley? Like a second round, like their 2026 second round pick, because Bagley has been a much better player than Nick Richards this year. And if the rumors are true that the Wizards are interested in Trae Young, they might be trying to accelerate their timeline a little bit.
I mean, yeah, but there's also the health thing that's always a cloud with Bagley. So they say they want to pick. You say we're not sure how available he will be for us. You shake your hand and you keep it pushing.
I mean, maybe too, you could wind up as a third team in some kind of iteration of a trade there for Trae. You know what's crazy too is when you look at that draft, all those guys at the top of it, including Luka, will have been moved once Trae's moved.
That is nuts. Well, except for Jaren Jackson Jr. still standing strong
for now.
Now
I like Bagley. Honestly, I think Bagley fits in the culture here. I'm really impressed. Honestly, a lot of guys in that position probably would have just given up by now and not been like, I'm not going to go play for the Wizards. I'm not going to go earn it as a bench player. I'm really impressed by him. And I do think that he can add a little bit of an extra element as a big man for this, which is if you're trying to trade, and I think these first two trades kind of prove it and some more as we go on, yeah, you're trading a big man, but you're trying to find one that you feel comfortable putting in the rotation because Nick Richards just doesn't play anymore. And Gil, you went to Boston to find someone.
Yeah, I went to Boston for this trade. Chris Boucher to Phoenix in exchange for Nick Richards going to the Celtics. Two guys who have fallen out of favor, out of the rotation in their respective situations. So I see that would be the path for it to happen. The Celtics, I don't think, are as pleased with Luka Garza just given his deficiencies athletically with his foot speed and his footwork, so maybe try to get a different big man in Nick Richards. I think that's why they would do it. Chris Boucher is a stretch big. He first year out of Toronto, and he's a guy who also played with Dillon Brooks with Team Canada and at the University of Oregon, so there's some familiarity there as far as that goes. So, I think it'd be worth a shot, a guy who can step back and make a three, also can protect the rim a little bit. Two things that we wanted to see from a 6'9", 6'10" guy on the Suns roster.
Yeah, I like Boucher. He was Eric, a guy that we talked about over the summer as one of those second to last pieces that they could have got at the end of July going into August. I think he's a piece that can do a lot of things. Fit definitely matters for him, but if we were looking at him over the summer through the lens of what Bol was providing, how he could help be a little bit more impactful defensively while still giving you some of the things that Bol was doing on offense, not bad. Not bad. And if it's something that you just simply add a player that you can more viably put in your rotation than what Nick has been the last month now, that's a win for you.
Yeah, and I get to make Waterboy jokes, so good for him too.
And I think the only problem with it is that Nick Richards doesn't take threes, and that probably would make Joe Mazzulla angry. But you're right with the foot speed thing. He would be more athletic. And with Boucher, I wonder if that maybe unlocks double big lineups or if he's athletic enough at this point in his career to be able to do that, because he would be the only big who could shoot. Yeah. Obviously, we'd like Kaman to be that, but we can't expect that from him this season. Chris Boucher's played a lot of NBA minutes. He's hit a lot of NBA threes. He is weirdly high on a lot of the Raptors' all-time leaderboards. I wouldn't hate this gamble for both teams. I think you would have to talk the Celtics into it. They might want something, but because Boucher's not playing either, this might just be something where you say, screw it. What's Boucher's contract?
I think he's two-year deal, but like a vet minimum.
And then that's where Nick Richards being a one-year deal might come into play here. Yeah, get off of that quicker. And then the Suns have a shooting big under control for next year if they feel like he fits into his identity. Identity is hard-nosed, scrappy, going to work hard. And Steven, I think your one-for-one trade for Nick Richards kind of matches that.
Yeah. Quick, simple, real easy. Like I said, shake your hand, keep it pushing. Nick Richards for Kevon Looney. You cut Looney's deal in half. I think he's on a 2-year deal. Nick is obviously on a $5 million expiring. The Pelicans can cut a little bit of corners. And you can also make an upgrade, like I mentioned, with Boucher, adding a player that's a lot more viable to your rotation. Kevon Looney checks off a ton of those boxes. He won a championship as a starting five. He was also one of the more impactful pieces for the Warriors when they beat the Dallas Mavericks. I think it was a 23 or 22 playoffs. I think it was 22. That matters. He has that cachet. He knows what it looks like and how it has to look to get the job done. If you're getting that behind Mark Williams, as well as someone that is a top-tier screener, a high IQ thinker of the game on both ends of the floor, and also somebody that's just rough and rugged. He's only 6'9", but he plays like he's 7'1". That's a guy that fits in for everything that the Suns are demanding from their guard or from their bigs, especially defensively. And he's a change of pace from what Mark is, as well as from what Oso is.
Yeah, I like that he's your break glass in case of emergency if Mark does miss any time. A quality third option second and third option when Oso can't be on the floor or behind Oso. Plus, I can drop a new song called Looney Tunes, and we'll be good to go.
Yeah, I have more to say about Looney because we have another one loaded up because I had a similar thought to Steven, but I will say some people asking about his age. He'll be 30 right after the trade deadline. So as long as he's been in the NBA, he still has not turned 30 yet. So he's not old per se.
He feels like he's 35.
I know. Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, let's go ahead and get to your deal, Gil, because finally we have some more players involved than just a one-for-one. This time, Suns sending 2 players back and getting 2 players in return.
Yeah, not exactly a one-for-one, but same concept. Suns received Kevon Looney and Jordan Hawkins from the New Orleans Pelicans. Pelicans received Nick Richards, Nigel Hayes-Davis, and a 2029 second-round pick. The idea here, I don't know if you guys ever seen that meme of that broken record player. It says, does not work, but could be fun to fix. That's how I see Jordan Hawkins right now. I think he's fallen out of favor in New Orleans, but is a lottery pick, a guy who can shoot the ball really well. And we've talked about another maybe secondary or tertiary target for this team is more shooting. Jordan Hawkins, again, just doesn't really fit with that Pelicans team. And, we've seen so many times teams kind of write off lottery picks. They just need a change of scenery. So the same thing we talk about with Kevon Looney, and you also add Jordan Hawkins to kind of sweeten it a little bit. And to make the Pelicans do it, throw that second-round pick in there. Maybe they consider it just kind of moving on. New regime, obviously, same coaching staff, but new head coach. So I think that'd be an interesting kind of twist to a Looney deal that brings him to the Valley.
I love the idea of having a guy like Hawkins come in that you can try to have a reclamation project with Jordan Goodwin, with Jordan Ott, and this group. You'd have 3. I don't know. I mean, apparently you're trying to make up for all those years in the 90s you couldn't get it done by collecting Jordans. But I think that's an interesting and intriguing way to go about it by taking 2 guys that aren't in your rotation and finding maybe that diamond in the rough, another roll of the dice where you need young talent. It could be interesting.
Steven, obviously Nick Richards for Kevon Looney is something that I would say interested in, but thought of as an idea. If you break down the other part of this trade, that's Nigel Hayes-Davis and a second-round pick for Jordan Hawkins, do you feel like that is appropriate one-to-one value since the other two we've already talked about?
Well, when you consider the lack of assets that the Suns have, like, this all I got.
That's all I got.
My pocket's empty now, man. I ain't got nothing else to
Would you give up a second-round pick for Jordan Hawkins?
It's a risk. I'm just wondering where his minutes are going to come from. If you got Bouye doing what he's doing, obviously you got Gillespie. I'm assuming health for everybody in their guard rotation. Like, where are the minutes coming from? How is he going to be able to show you that this is a better fit than what the Pelicans have been for him so far?
I mean, I like getting Kevon for Nick. In a vacuum, I like taking a bet on Jordan Hawkins. He's 6'5", just under 200 pounds. So maybe he could play alongside some other guys. I don't know how much you're relying on Jamari Bouye or if Jordan Goodwin's going to go get paid and you're going to have to pay Colin Gillespie this summer, so you want somebody who's under contract. I think it's interesting. I'd probably would just go for the 1-for-1 and keep the pick in this scenario. I do have a trade, though. Go ahead.
One last thing on Looney. His intangibles, man. I can say so much about Looney. A lot of the things I said about Al Horford before the impasse happened with Kuminga and he finally was able to sign with the Warriors. Looney has a lot of those qualities. Might not have as much a cachet because Al Horford's a former All-Star. He's been like one of the 4 or 3 best players on multiple teams he's been on. But he has that veteran cachet that can really help a Suns group that has a breadth of young bigs that are still trying to find their way. The screen setting being the biggest one, the other one drop coverage, and learning how to play with your feet and different things like that will be invaluable for Jordan and everything that they're establishing.
I hadn't thought about that, the impact it could have on Kaman, too, as he's trying to develop. Having a guy like that who's been through it and won a title.
To have Mike Muscala, one of the best three-point shooting bigs, as one part of it, and then the other part being a big that's actually in your rotation with Looney and his rough and rugged nature, I'll be setting up Malouas for as much success as he can get before he actually starts playing.
Well, from one Phoenix Suns lottery pick to another, let's go to the Chicago Bulls, baby. You might have to throw a second-round pick in this one, but Jalen Smith, come on back. Sticks kids, come on back to the Valley for Nick Richards and Nigel Hayes-Davis. This would be a move that maybe the Bulls would want a second-round pick, but you have to remember, Steven, as you know very well, the Chicago Bulls are the Chicago Bulls. Now, Jalen Smith, not the biggest bruising big, but he's become a very decent rotation player in the NBA and specifically fills a role for the Suns, which is something I kept an eye on with Yabu. And for Jalen Smith at that 4 spot. The difference, though, is that Jalen Smith is a better shooter than Yabusele. He's not as big and bruising, but I think he's a better defensive fit as far as moving his feet quickly. I would actually like a Jalen Smith reunion. I was high on Jalen Smith when the Suns drafted him. I don't think he got a fair shake. I think he's an okay player. I don't think he's where he was picked type of player, but I wouldn't mind it.
Yeah, I think I would say kudos to him. Like you said, it's always tough when you're taking, wherever you're taking, whether it's, 10th pick in the draft, there's going to be 10th pick expectations that come with that. And he probably wasn't a top 10 talent in that draft, but he certainly made a career for himself. Even looking at his numbers this year is surprising to see in front of you, right? 9 points, 6.3 rebounds per game, and shooting from a good clip from beyond the arc. So given what the Bulls are doing this year and still trying to figure out, they've been in this weird, limbo for the past several years. Probably, I think that maybe they would ask for a second-round pick. I don't know if you're willing to get rid of that because they need to be trying to stockpile assets, but at the same time, sometimes the Bulls just do things. So I could see it being a possibility of things like that happening, but I could see it really working out.
I think the difference here, and maybe why Chicago would be fine moving on with them, because who knows what the hell they're doing, is that Jalen Smith has a couple more years left on his contract, and I mean he gets paid about $9 million per year. He's currently in the second year of that contract. He could get paid $9.4 million a year after that, and then become an unrestricted free agent if they want to free up some money this summer. I believe they'll also be losing Vooch this summer, so get some guys off the books. I don't think Jalen Smith is a part of the future there, but Espo, they might want to pick. Would you be willing to part with a second round pick for Jalen Smith?
No, I would hold on to that and see if Jalen Smith is a nice addition on the margins, but if I'm going to start getting rid of the draft capital I have left, I've got to hope that there's a larger impact I'm looking for. I know a second round pick isn't going to land you that, but if you start talking about, are you moving Royce? Are you moving Grayson? Are you trying to find some larger kind of move? I'd like to at least have one of those available. So I don't know that I'd do it for Jalen Smith.
I would just say per 36 minutes is 2 years with the Bulls so far. A little over 8 attempts, 33.6% from deep is pretty good. Considering the quality of shot that he's receiving with the Bulls the past season and some change versus what he would be getting with the Suns is very different. I think you have to factor those things in when you're looking at what guys look like in their present team versus what they would look like in the Suns context, and then defensively doing the things that he's shown to be able to do that have gotten him some goodwill with Bulls fans. He would be able to do a little bit more of that with the Suns because there's a lot more defense around him with this.
So, Hello says per 36, JaVale McGee. I got to ask, why is per 36 a good way to look at it? Because to me, I default to, JaVale McGee is the king of per 36, but we know in reality you're not playing 36 minutes.
Yeah, to get a better gauge at what a guy's true value and impact looks like if he was playing average minutes instead of playing 15 sometimes, 20 sometimes, 25 sometimes. So just to kind of contextualize it a little bit differently.
Gotcha.
I would trade a second-round pick for Jalen Smith in this scenario because Nick Richards is in the rotation. Nigel Hayes-Davis is in the rotation. I think you get a rotation big that could play alongside Oso, that could play alongside Mark Williams, that could play maybe a little bit of a small ball 5. You look at that OKC game, if you could have had another guy shooting a 3 out there at the 5 when you didn't have a big bruising big interior-wise. Plus, he's got another year under contract. He could play with Kaman. And then guess what? You got 2 top 10 picks in a lineup. What's better than that? No, I actually do think that he would be a pretty valuable player. Plus, he's still on the younger side. And kind of look at this, and obviously it's like, of course, this Eric's going to bring up the ASU thing, but I look at it with Kenny, and it's like, okay, we're going to take gambles on guys that, are in worse situations because we think we can get more out of you here. We've seen it with Bouye, Gillespie, with Dillon Brooks, even with like Royce O'Neal this year, who didn't change. Like, we've seen Jordan Ott's system get more out of players on both sides of the ball. I do think that Jalen Smith is kind of at this prime position in his career where he wants to get another contract, make more than $9 million per year, and has these buildable talents. And I think that would be a decent move for them. If it was just a second-round pick, maybe a protected second-round pick. Again, it's the Bulls. They don't know what they're doing. But I know that we're doing Trade Machine Tuesday.
That would be 3 top 10 picks because Jalen Green.
Ooh.
If that's the route you're going.
Hey, now.
When I get
Then you start cornering the market on Jalen.
Get Dragon Bender, play the 3.
Bunch of
Josh Jackson at the 2, Jalen Green at the 1.
Marquise Chris, bring him in.
Look, all I know is that there's a Lakers center who I'm sure wants to come home. Look, we have more trades to go, and yes, Nick Richards is in most of them, but not in all of them. So you have to see which one he is not in on the other side of our final break. I'm stopping at Circle K just about every single day at this point, but no, I don't need to fill up on gas every day. When I do, I'm getting my 5 cents off per gallon on all my fill-ups. Sometimes on an Inner Circle Fuel Day, I get up to 40 to 50% off or 50 cents off per gallon. It's amazing, but I also like going inside of the Circle K. Recently, they've been having this deal on my favorite unbranded electrolyte drinks. It's 2 for $5 when they're usually $3.50 each, so that's a huge discount. Unbranded electrolyte drink. No free ads over here, but we love talking about Circle K. They've got dollar cookies. They've got 2 for $2.75, 22-ounce Arizona teas featuring a Circle K exclusive tropical mango splash. Circle K's always got these exclusive flavors. It's their one-stop shop for everything you need from gas to snacks to drinks to lottery tickets and beyond. And right now, make sure you join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for more details.
We're out at Gila River Resorts and Casinos at Wild Horse Pass last night.
That's
you guys
right.
had a good time,
Had a
right?
blast.
Well, did you guys notice? I was walking around there after the show, and I noticed that they have the fabulous Corvette giveaway that they're about to start.
There's a nice blue Corvette out front.
Starts
He
next.
was just talking about he wanted a Corvette.
Yeah, well, and guess what? You might be able to win one. I don't know if we're eligible, but we'll find out.
I'm gonna rig it.
It starts next week, January 16th through April 24th. It's super simple. 4 casinos, 4 Corvettes that they're giving out, and the missus. It's not just you that wants a Corvette.
Everybody
Tracy
wants a
has
Corvette.
always
You got
wanted
competition.
has always wanted a Corvette, and when I saw it, I was like, you know what? This might finally be the way to do it. Because it ain't going to be a sports media career that's going to land that Corvette
Well, it
either. So I'm gonna take advantage of it. You should too. Head out to any of the 4 Valley locations. Don't miss your chance to accelerate into luxury. Earn, play, and win at any of the 4 Valley locations of Gila River Resorts and Casinos.
Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for a little Trade Machine Tuesday action. Just want to say we're talking about Gila. Again, shout out to everybody who came out last night at Wild Horse Pass. Buddha, we got your mixtape actually on set right now, right behind Gil. So big shout out to Buddha Schizo and everybody who came out, Espo. A lot of amazing people made some time last night.
Yeah, I got to shout out Sheila. She stopped by, a cancer survivor, and showing us how big of a Arizona sports fan she is. Season tickets to the Suns, Wildcats. Great to see her out there. She is a diehard. Even showed us her membership card. So great to meet you last night, Sheila. Thanks so much for coming out.
Two things about Sheila. She pulled up with the Devin Booker, the fattest
Fat head.
Devin Booker head that you will ever see. And she says she wears it proudly with her, even at the arena. And then the other one is that she knows as much ball as you would even imagine.
Yes.
It's not just viewing it. She listens, she studies, and she pays attention. Not just the NBA, but college basketball as well.
Yeah.
I thought it was sweet. She's like, Espo, you always talk about how old you are, but I'm 69 and you're not old. I was like, yeah, you feel a lot younger than me though with all that energy. So,
Oh, I definitely
That was like
young at
one
heart.
of the first conversations too. It was like a minute in.
She pulled me aside and she showed me like she has this itemized schedule of all the basketball games she's going to. And it's like every other day she's at a game, and I'm like,
Coded.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous, Gil. I want to go to all those games.
Me too. Yeah, I'm gonna say, yeah, she brought the energy. She was great to talk to, and like she was a big part of everybody that was there. Like, you know, we are all that our community allows us to be, and it was so cool to connect with our community, especially Sheila and everybody else that showed up yesterday. So that was awesome.
I want to correct something. If I said mixtape, that's an album. I don't know if I said mixtape. That's an album behind us right there. It's not a mixtape. It's an album. Well, look, hopefully for everybody who showed up for Sheila at the games.
Buddha said it's only for diehards. So become a diehard, pull up to a watch party with us, and you could potentially get one too.
Yeah,
we're going to have to get the CD burner. I haven't used that bad boy in a long time, but we'll bust that out.
Well, look, maybe we'll have some new players to watch on the Suns the next time that we have a watch party. Let's keep the party going. And for the first time, yes, Nick Richards is still included in this trade, but somebody else is in this trade with the Bucks.
Yep, this is it here. Royce O'Neal, Nick Richards for Bobby Portis. Not quite sure why the Bucks would do it outside of they're doing anything to try to pander to Giannis and throwing anything at the wall to see if it sticks. And Bobby Portis, I think, would fit exactly what you're looking for in a four here. Brings that experience. Obviously can hit big shots. We experienced it firsthand here in Phoenix. Plus, we get to use the wide eye emoji, which would be fun too.
That would be fun. Yeah, I would say like this is one where I could see happening. You just got to monitor the situation that's going on with the Bucks. They're 16-20 right now, and obviously they're swinging for the fences. They're going to be in on the Trae Young stuff and all of this and all of that, but they're going to have to make some things shake in order to do that. So if they get to a position where they kind of have to be stuck between a rock and a hard place, Bobby Portis might be one of the guys that they have to part ways with. So I wouldn't rule this really out of the realm of possibility, because I could see them being forced, their hand being forced into having to get rid of somebody who's a big part of it. And as far as what Bobby Portis brings to the table, think about his ability to attack the glass, his ability to kind of be that malleable big man who you need to play some small ball five. He can. He's not that small. He's like 6'9", but he also want to play four next to a bigger guy. He can also do that as well. He does really whatever's asked of him and whatever role you ask of him as well. So I can really see that working. The grit that he plays with as well would fit in this locker room culture. I think he would love playing and being a part of this team, and I think it'd be a really fun fit.
Bobby's shooting 47% from three on 4
Not good
attempts.
enough. Never mind.
Listen. If there was a team that was going to lean into that 47% on just 4 attempts, but do so in a process, and it's not just we need you to knock these down. It's like, no, the defense has to tilt because of the guards we have. You're going to get a lot of great, like 90 to 95% shot quality on these catches. Do what you do and up it by 2 or 3 more attempts a game potentially. And play the small ball five, which is going to just drastically shift the extent of how open your shots are going to come to you. That's a great hand and glove fit. I think mentality-wise, he matches the culture that the Suns are establishing at this present moment. A hard-nosed guy that's not scared of confrontation in any capacity, that will run through a brick wall for his teammates, but also dive into the crowd for a loose ball, engage the fans outside of players like Colin and Dillon Brooks and eventually Jalen Green doing that with this team. Championship know-how and experience. Obviously, we got firsthand experience of that, unfortunately. There's a lot of versatility that he brings as well on the defensive end. He's played the five with and without Giannis. He's more than willing to and capable of switching and getting stops. Didn't work against Chris Paul in the playoffs or in the finals, or Devin Booker for that matter, but you're not going up against those types of guards every night. Bobby's a very rock-solid six-man type of guy. Suns fans have been enamored with Naz Reid for obvious reasons. You're not going to be able to get him because of his price line. Bobby Portis is as good as that gets.
Here's the problem that I find, though. Bobby Portis is on about the same contract as Royce O'Neal. He's making a couple more $1 million per year, about $13 million this year, then 14, then a player option for 15. Royce this year is making 10, then 10.8, then 11.6. So less, but again, Bobby Portis is a significantly better player. The Bucks could use
He's
Nick
also
Richards.
taller and bigger.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Bucks could use Nick Richards. Jericho Sims is their backup center. They could use another body there. That's expiring contract. You got to throw in a pick, I think, in this situation. Just
Throwing all the seconds.
yeah,
if it had-
I
if
would-
it cost
how
me.
would you, so
Yep.
2 second-round picks?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bobby's going to be better than your second-round picks that you would be.
Because I don't see Milwaukee doing, unless Giannis goes, man, I love Royce O'Neal
Sure.
and I hate Bobby Portis.
Well, it depends too. To Gil's point, though,
Yep.
what are you trying to figure out financially? Because sure, Bobby is better than what you're getting, but if you get 2 contracts that add up to it, then you have additional pieces you can move. Because I don't think one move's going to fix the Bucks, but they need to desperately try to figure out something because they want to keep Giannis at all costs. So I think you're see the Bucks probably do multiple things before the trade deadline to try to patch this thing together before all hell breaks loose this offseason.
Yeah, I could see it happening if there were picks involved. I just think Bobby is a way better player, and I think Royce is fine. But if Royce was not under contract for another year and wasn't expiring, I think he'd have more value. But he's got 2 more years on that contract, and it goes up. So I think that becomes a little bit of a tougher sell. But
I think they'll need more shooting though. If they're trying to get into the Trae Young race, they're going to need more shooting on the periphery. If you can get that on a lesser contract in terms of volume of
Sure.
money committed, that might be how you entice.
but
them.
a worse shooter, and Bobby's a big man, so I mean it
Well,
kind of helps.
Depending on what day of the week it is, because if Royce is not
Right,
down,
but that's the thing. It doesn't depend on what day of the week it is with Bobby Portis. So
Yeah.
I think it's interesting. Definitely something that who knows what the Bucks are doing. Also, they're another one of those franchises that is in desperation mode. This 3-team deal also has Royce O'Neal, also has Nick Richards, the Pelicans, the Magic. What do we think about this one?
Yeah, this one was me. The Suns receiving Jonathan Isaac and Sadiq Bey from Sadiq from New Orleans, Jonathan Isaac obviously from Orlando. The Suns would get offered a Nick Richards contract, sending him to New Orleans, and the Orlando Magic would be receiving Royce O'Neal from the Suns. So the Suns part ways with 2 of their more malleable contracts that they can move, and they get some size and 2 players that would add 2 different things to that kind of wing/forward group for them in the front court.
This is one of the first that I look at and I go, it makes sense completely for all teams involved because Orlando needs shooting still. Everything
Specifically from the front court.
Yep. Pelicans get some flexibility because Nick Richards is an expiring contract. Suns get what they need. I really like this one, Steven.
Yeah, Jonathan Isaac when healthy, and he's been healthy the last few seasons, and he went through a lot of injury adversity.
Whole
But
lot.
you can trust him to really still be one of the better defenders in the league with whoever you give him as the assignment. And Sadiq Bey is having a great season. Again, another guy coming back from injury issues. So I think that, these teams kind of get away from the risk. And I think it's, you take a risk, but high reward as far as what both of those guys bring to the table. Sadiq Bey has been great. We saw it firsthand a few weeks ago when the Suns were down there playing in the Bayou against the Pelicans. I think he's kind of gotten that new life in his career and brings a lot, as with the size that he has, it's kind of a plus size wing, can kind of play some small ball forward for you, can score a little bit, rebound the ball a little bit, and actually underrated playmaker at times as well. So that'd be a great move and add some versatility to this roster. And I think they also would be good culture fits too.
Yeah, I think the only reason why New Orleans would move on from Sadiq Bey is that they don't want to pay him for another year. He's under contract for $6.4 million, which is it's an okay contract, especially for how he's playing. Again, the value of trading for Nick is that clears your books off at the end of this year. Other than that, I mean, I guess there's really no other reason for New Orleans to do this, honestly.
But New Orleans is at a point where I think it is just about how do we clear room to figure out how to rebuild this entire thing because it's a mess down there.
Yeah, I mean, Bay's not a part of the future for them.
And that's the thing for me. So I'm like, okay, he's playing okay. He's not playing sensational, but he's just shown to be healthy coming back from injury more than anything. you get to get a player that's expiring, get that money off your books, move forward with James Borrego and the vision that he has for the roster around obviously Zion and maybe Trey Murphy III. Remains to be seen. They said they're willing to listen to calls, but the price is astronomical right now, as it should be. So it remains to be seen, and we don't know if Herb Jones is still going to be around for that matter either. So they're to the point we're speaking to. There's a lot going on down there, and it's not just a gumbo with New Orleans. They're trying to figure that part out.
I need some.
Bring in Sadiq Bey. Sadiq Bey can give you similar shooting to Royce O'Neal, but much more creation off the bounce, and also give you a ton more on-ball defense in terms of being able to contain. And then obviously with Jonathan Isaac, when he's healthy, can be one of the better point of attack defenders in the league. You get somebody that's almost 7 feet tall with a 7'3" wingspan to do that for you. Also can be a small ball 5 for you as well. There's a lot of fun that can come with him, and he's not really in the rotation to the extent that he was in years past with Orlando.
Do you guys know how many points per game Sadiq Bey is averaging this year?
If I had to guess, I would say somewhere.
I think he might be at like 11.
I was going to guess like 14.3.
He's 15.1 points per game, 5.9 rebounds, 2.3 assists, about a steal per game as well.
Three-point shooting is down this season.
Yeah, he's only shooting 31% on 5.2 attempts from deep, but he's shooting 44% from the field in less, like just about 30 minutes per game. New Orleans is giving away the better player that the Suns are getting, and they're getting the worst one. Do you have to include a second-round pick in this deal?
I mean, I consider
I imagine you probably would. And at that point, again, is that
do you do it for Sadiq Bey?
Of course, not just for Sadiq, but
you're
also
also
for Jonathan Isaac.
And just to play devil's advocate here with this trade, Jonathan Isaac can't shoot. Sadiq Bey shooting just about 31% from
Sadiq,
deep.
Again, what team is he playing?
He's going to get better shots in the Suns for sure.
That's not even.
You're giving up Royce O'Neal, who is one of your better three-point shooters. I'm a little worried. I love getting the size, love getting the defense. I think I do this trade, but I would say a concern coming back the other way is, are you getting enough shooting? And are these two guys going to be able to stay on the floor? Because Sadiq Bey last season played in 63 games and only started 51 of them. Like, he's a guy that's going to miss a good chunk of games, and he's coming back from injury. Jonathan Isaac, we know, can never stay on the court. So it's a worry with giving up Royce and potentially a pick with that, but I think because of how they fit in on what this team needs, it's worth it.
I think we got to remember, though, there's going to be less shots to go around very soon when Jalen Green is back on this court, when you've got Grayson back playing. So you're gonna see shots kind of fall by the wayside for some of these guys anyways. So if you can get guys that don't necessarily have to have a high volume of shots, can still have an impact in other ways, I'm okay with that as well.
Let's keep things rolling here with another 3-team trade, another deal involving the Pelicans. These teams hate each other, but they're all in there on the trade machine. Gil, I believe this is this is Steven. We're back to Steven.
Yeah,
I like this trade.
Talk about the Suns finding a way to get a wing and someone that can also be a big for them. Najee Marshall, I'll start with him. Well, I guess I'll explain the trade first. So the Suns received Najee Marshall and Kevon Looney. The Mavericks received Royce O'Neal, and the Pelicans received Nick Richards and Dwight Powell. Both of those guys are on expiring deals for the Pelicans. They get to clear their books and build under the vision of James Borrego, or if they go another coaching route, build under the vision of that coach with a little bit more money in their pockets. Start with Najee Marshall. Shout out PG County. If you don't know where PG County is in the D.C. area, there's a lot of tough guys that come from that pocket of the United States. Najee Marshall is a direct example of that. If you want to talk about guys that fit the culture that the Suns are establishing, you are going to check that box off that are in their actual space to be acquired based off of the contract that he's on right now. He will give you more bang for your buck than you'll be spending on having him in your room right now. And obviously Kevon Looney, I don't have to say too much more about him, but those guys are striking at a core of players that you're trying to bring in culture-wise. I think they fit personality-wise too. And they bring something unique from what's already existing with the team.
My only problem is you're helping the Mavs, and I don't like that. But other than that, I like the deal.
I thought you were gonna say the only problem was that Najee Marshall was going on Instagram talking about
the
other day.
The question in the chat from Keith is, are these guys aligned? That's all that matters. Najee Marshall would fit in culture-wise, but
Dillon Brooks would be kindred spirits.
I know. It's one of the things was like, we're beefing right now because I'm not with you, but as soon as I'm in there, we setting that aside. But I should think back.
I mean, there was questions about, did Dillon have beef with this team? There's questions about Jay Crowder back in the day.
Let's get Gorgie Dang in here.
When you're wearing the same uniform, it all kind of goes away.
Yeah,
that's true. That's true. It actually makes it more fun too.
I had beef with Gil before he got here.
that's
and I stepped in here. It was all. We settled aside. We're good now.
I do as far as returns go, Najee Marshall and Kevon Looney is maybe my favorite return. Just collectively, those are two guys that I think would really fit in here and fit two distinct roles. And I think Najee's a much better defender than Royce O'Neal at this point. And I think that is the big problem.
Quick, but yeah, it's night and day.
Royce has been a valuable player for this team this year. Royce being under contract for multiple years after this, with how far of a step back his defense has taken from the second half of last year to this season too, and
it's specifically on the ball for Royce.
Yeah.
Off the ball, he's very, very, very good.
And he has his moments. Like, he can stand up some guys. He had a big defensive stand against Shea in the OKC game. Like, he'll have his moments, but as a consistent defender,
yeah, it's the on the ball part for me, because I'm looking at, okay, the Suns want to play a certain way. If he's involved in the rotation to the extent that his shooting demands for him to be, you don't want to have someone that can be poked at on the other end of the floor. I think that would be a major plus for them if they were able to make that happen.
Dagoon in the chat says, we need a 4 that makes the ops wet themselves.
Sure.
Hey, Portis.
Well, maybe this trade. Finally, folks, it took us an hour. But to wrap things up, I would like to present to you a trade that does not involve Nick Richards. In an exchange with the Golden State Warriors, the Phoenix Suns would receive Jonathan Kuminga, Al Horford, and Gary Payton II. Now, why more than Jonathan Kuminga? Well, because it was hard to get the money to match up with Kuminga. Royce O'Neal and Nick Richards doesn't get it done for Jonathan Kuminga. Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal for those 3 players do. Now, this would be a risky move. With the way that Grayson Allen had played at the beginning of the year, he has the opportunity to be one of the more valuable pieces on this team. Royce has had a good season. That being said, Grayson has struggled since returning from injury twice. Royce O'Neal is on the other side of 30 now and continues to take steps back defensively. The question is, do you want to give up that much of your current value, 2 of your best shooters, to take a gamble on Jonathan Kuminga, who fills the athletic 4-spot role, the shot creator role, and then Gary Payton II can be a rotation player on this team. He could be a guard. He can't shoot, but he could defend. And you take a risk on Al Horford, who's old as hell and doesn't play, but would be the best shooting big man on this team. This trade fascinates me. I don't know if I say yes, but it's one of the only machinations that I could find that would work to get Jonathan Kuminga here, and we know how long that story's been going on.
Big no to me. You wouldn't give up that much in the offseason. I mean, you were hesitant to give up Oso for Kuminga in a deal from everything we've heard. And from what I've heard, their interest in Kuminga has cooled tremendously. So I would not do that if I were the Suns. I think you could find different deals like we've gone through for less that could help you as much, if not more.
Just that's the thing. It depends on how much you believe in Jonathan Kuminga. I trust the front office and their talent and skill evaluation, and we know that Jonathan Kuminga has no shortage of talent. What we've seen him do when he's allowed to kind of play freely and not look over his shoulder, he's looked incredible. That being said, it's the NBA. You can't just be like, oh, I need to go out there and play freely and play well to be myself. It's like, nah, you need to kind of align within a system. So the question is, do they believe he can do that? If you believe he can do that, you believe he can be, the player that he was believed to be coming into the league, like a multi-time all-star, if that's what you truly believe, by all means, go for it. But I don't think, based on what you were saying and what we've heard from them with all that, and maybe it was just them kind of like throwing smoke screens out. Maybe they do believe he could be that. And if so, go for it. If not, I don't think it's worthwhile. And it'd be interesting, on the other side of it. I can see the Warriors doing it. I can see Grayson Allen going there and making you regret trading him there. And I also could see Al Horford saying, I didn't sign up for this. I wanted to go to Golden State. I'm done. But the fact that they also be ultimate vote of confidence in Quentin Post to basically just get rid of their only other 5-man. So it intrigues me, but I think it all hinges on whether or not what the Suns have said about their belief in Jonathan Kuminga is a smokescreen or not.
Yeah, with Kuminga, I do think he's a player that would greatly benefit from an environment where he's valued and like outwardly, openly valued, not just in, hey, we like this guy. It's like, no, hey, we know where you like to get the ball in your spots and how you like to get the ball is in said spots. We're going to put you in those positions as long as your defense holds up to the elite level that it's shown to be in its potential. I think Jordan Knight is a coach that could get that out of him. I think the way that they empower players to play to their strengths is naturally something that would be aligned with what he wants and what he's in desire of. Only issue for me with Kuminga, and he's only 23 years old, 31% on just 2 attempts the last 3 years from deep. You can't say he's going to get better shot quality with the Suns than he did with Golden State because he's playing with the best shot quality creator that the league has ever seen in Stephen Curry. So that system in general, not just Steph, but including him, quality of shots, you're not going to get too much better than that. Al Horford, I think he can still play. He's been injured, but he's also on ice until games matter more post All-Star break. Gary Payton II hasn't been mentioned yet. High impact role player.
Dog.
Only issue is they're similar in stature, similar in how they impact the game. What are you doing with him and Jordan Goodwin in your rotation?
Jordan Goodwin can shoot threes now. He hit 8 of them in a game, so it's fine. Play both of them. I'm kidding. No, they do fill the same role.
That's the only issue for me, and both of them are hard-nosed offensive rebounders. You get another point of attack defender, but the overlap between those two is like, okay, this might be a little too much at that specific position, especially if you're talking about converting Bouye. You still got minutes that you got to figure out between your guards with Grayson getting back healthy, Jalen coming back healthy. It's a lot to deal with.
So I would not do this trade, but this is, again, somebody said, oh, just Royce and Nick will get it done. It can't. The money simply doesn't work.
I get it.
And I am interested, and I think for those who would argue for Kuminga, Grayson Allen had an incredible start to the season, right? He had a little bit of a down year the year before, and before that, he was incredible as the 5th starter under Frank Vogel's Phoenix Suns. There is a chance that maybe we saw the best of Grayson Allen, and maybe this knee injury, maybe whatever's lingering is something that might bother him, and who knows if he can get back. I believe he can. I believe he will round the corner, but again, that might be a concern for some people. I like Royce O'Neal. I think he's a good rotation player. I think you're getting out on him before things really start to go downhill. He still continues to be a valuable piece. Kuminga has the upside that those two don't have. Now, does he have the ability to hit that upside is probably the biggest question mark on the trade market this offseason. But again, it's that Jordan Ott effect of if he can do this with Jordan Goodwin and Jamari Bouye and Dillon Brooks and find a way to get the most out of you and to get you to buy in, I could see Jonathan Kuminga thriving here. If the Warriors threw in a protected first-round pick later, would you guys change your consideration on this deal?
There's too many maybes in it. I mean, no, I don't think I would. I don't think it's a swing that you take. If you were going to do it in the off season. When the price, you may have been able to figure it out, and you'd have him in here for the full year. I don't think so. I think I'd be out.
His stock is as low as it's probably going to be the rest of his career at this present moment. Grayson is too valuable to what the Suns' identity is on offense, but also the culture that they're establishing is as well. He's a pillar in Jordan Ott's system at this present moment for those reasons. I don't know if I do this right now.
That's a tough thing because I do fully believe that Jordan Ott could get the most out of Jonathan Kuminga, but I also wonder how long it would take.
Yeah.
And is it worth the runway of saying, okay, we reached the deadline, we can get you ready by the playoffs? I don't know if, he can work that kind of magic. Like we've seen him do a lot of great things, but he might need more time than that. And that's the one thing that also gives me a hang up because genuinely I think that Jonathan Kuminga would become whatever they believe he could be under this system, under this coaching staff, but I don't know how long it would take.
Just to put a bow on the Jonathan Kuminga talk, in trade talk today, let us know what your favorite trade was, or if you have a trade yourself, you'd have to pay him too. Yeah. You'd also have to give him an extension. Obviously, that was a big thing with the Warriors this summer. You're not just trading for him and he's under contract like a Grayson and like a Royce, who are controllable assets right now, as much as I hate to talk about human beings like that. When you're in the trade market, you have to. Jonathan Kuminga is not. He is the most wild card from a pay standpoint, from a play standpoint, from a buy-in standpoint, but sometimes wild cards hit, and there is a chance that you could buy low on somebody who could average 20 points per game in this league and be a plus defender on the other end. At the end of the day, I think it's too risky, and I think what we learned in this exercise today is that the Suns shouldn't go out there and do anything extremely risky. Try to win on the margins. Trade for a Looney. Trade for a Smith. Trade for a Portis if you maybe can do that. That might be the biggest move that you try to do. You don't have to do anything. You can get your guys in. But as we get closer to the trade deadline, we'll keep everybody up to date with the latest news, if there's any rumors that goes out there, and we'll probably do something like this again, even if it's just in supplemental content form, because it's always fun to think about what could be, and the Suns do have needs that need to be addressed. Real quick before we get out of here, no Otto today, but we are going to go ahead and take a look at the standings presented by our friends over at the Phoenix Raceway. Join them over at the Phoenix Raceway the weekend of March 5th through the 8th at the link in our description to watch the IndyCar and NTT NASCAR Championship Series. So, after last night. Yes, OKC is losing. OKC still in the 1st seed. The Spurs in the 2nd seed. The Lakers up to the 3rd seed. Denver on the 4th seed could be sliding down. Houston up to 5. Minnesota at 6. The Suns still sitting strong at 7. Then Golden State, Trailblazers, and Memphis, who the Suns play tomorrow, round out the play-in. On the outside of the play-in, it's Clippers, Mavericks, Jazz, Kings, and Pelicans. What stands out to you guys about the standings?
Surging Clippers.
Surging Clippers, yeah.
I think it's Denver. They're primed to fall back. I was talking to a Nuggets expert yesterday, and he was saying, you know what? I think the Suns very well could catch the Nuggets before Jokic comes back. Now, all bets are off, obviously, when Jokic comes back. But until then, I think you could close that gap.
Yeah, Denver scratched and clawed for a much-needed win over the Sixers last night. But you talk about the Clippers, they are 2 games out of 10th now. We kind of laughed at them or whatever, and rightly so, the way they started this season and the drama that happened with Chris Paul. But they're right in the mix, and I think that speaks to, when you think about it through the lens of the Suns, though, how important it is to keep that cushion over the rest of those teams who are in the other part of the play-in tournament range. The Warriors last night, who were on the wrong end of that Clippers win. So you're 2 games behind the Timberwolves. They're right there, and then you're 2.5 games ahead of Golden State. So it does kind of feel like the Suns are working to firmly establish themselves towards that top 7, and then maybe that 7 through 3 range, because still just 2.5 behind the Lakers. And you've gotten some key tiebreakers with some of those teams you're around. Just keep your head down, keep doing the work, and I think you'll stay in the area that you're in right now.
And I think it proves that Chris Paul was the problem. I'm just kidding. Totally kidding.
Now, with Denver, they are getting Aaron Gordon and Christian Brown back. They were back in that Nets game that they lost.
Big fella, though.
No big fella, though. That is going to be a big
Cam
deal.
Johnson, for that matter.
The Suns are as far back from the 4th seed as the 8th seed is from them. It's close. That's what stands out to me the most, is that it's really, really close. And I'm not sure I don't think the standings that we showed actually are correct. The Lakers I have in the 5th seed right now, tied with Houston at 22-11 with the 4th seed. Then Denver still in the 3rd seed at 24-12. San Antonio and OKC the top 2 seeds. And then Minnesota 6, Phoenix 7, Golden State, Portland, Memphis. So it's all jumbled up. 3rd seed to 7th seed are 3 games separation. So everything's on the table for the Suns. You just got to take care of the teams that are in front of you, and that is the Memphis Grizzlies, who are in the play-in, are on a little bit of a slide after getting it back together. So another Dillon Brooks revenge game as well, hopefully coming your way tomorrow.
I did have one more thing to add, though.
Oh, well, too bad, because we're wrapping up.
You didn't ask, so I didn't get a chance. Ayrton, we can go ahead and pull up the tweet real quick. Just a small thing to keep in mind when talking about the Suns' schedule. They are, again, like I mentioned at the beginning of the show, one of the better teams in the league at going against some of the top tier offenses. For teams that have gone up against teams that are in the top 10 on the offensive side of the ball, the Suns have 7 wins. They're tied with the San Antonio Spurs. They've also played the 2nd most games in the league against teams that are in the top 10 on offense. And that's teams that were top 10 on the date that they played the Suns. And that goes for the rest of the league as well. No one else has had as hellacious of a schedule as the Suns have, and the way that they fared, even against teams that are the most high octane on offense, speaks a lot to their defense, and it speaks a lot to just generally the team that they are. They don't get to that point without that, and they also haven't done that healthy as well, which I think should keep people to keep their team name in mind when they're talking about these standings and projecting forward.
Well, look, another thing to keep in mind, Steven, is that on our YouTube channel right now, you put together another film session, which we always love watching. Just give the people a little teaser. What can they expect from that?
Yeah, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, come here, sir. You are going to guard.
Well,
And then-
I thought you were saying trade for him.
Oh, well, they can do that too.
Royce O'Neal,
You have to
get ready to
guard,
learn thunder.
and then you're gonna have to guard again, and then you're gonna have to guard again. You're not hiding on anybody. You're not just gonna guard Royce. You're gonna be screened for, and then you're gonna have to guard Devin Booker, and we're gonna see about it in space. And I think the Suns did a great job of not allowing that to bog their offense down, but also using it as a weapon to kind of win the time of possession. You take away OKC's opportunities to get in transition. They only had 2 steals in that game because the Suns grinded that game to a halt and then were able to just completely control the tempo of it. You do that, you give yourself a chance, and Devin Booker cashed in on his chance at the end of it.
Yeah, awesome stuff from Steven, as always. Also, I believe a member portion of that video is up as well. So if you are a member like Aaron in the chat, like Deborah in the chat, you get access to exclusive content like extra film breakdowns and everything of the sort. So We will be back tomorrow. Pre-game show, post-game shows. The Suns try to get back to 7 games above 500 and get their lick back on the Memphis Grizzlies, who took them down by 1 at home earlier this year.
I still can't believe that game winner from Ja was so
the best moment.
It was
of
such
season.
the Suns are not on the same page yet defensively in transition, and he just walks to the basket for a floater to win it. That would not happen in the next day after that if the Suns were where they were. Yeah,
that was the tipping point for the Suns. Really, that was the end of 1-4 start, and then after that they played the Jazz later that week. Big win on Halloween, and then boom. Since then, the Suns have been for real. So. They're going to see a completely different Suns team tomorrow, but you will see the same crew here. So hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. We'll be back tomorrow. In the meantime, you can follow the show at PHNX_Suns. You can follow me at ERIKRUBY. You can follow Gil at GilMcGregor_. You can follow Espo at Espo. You can follow Steven at StevenPG3. That's Steven with a PH. You can follow the Freckled Mamba, holding it down behind the Mac, doing all sorts of things. As always, follow him at Freckled Mamba, and we will be back tomorrow. And remember, breaking news, Dillon Brooks, Jalen Green traded. Oh my gosh, you'll never believe it. Click this article. You'll never believe what's happening.
Oh,
we all silly like the mayor.